School, a place students go to gain new knowledge every day. A place where they go to have fun and make new friends. A place where they should be able to call it their second home. No place feels at home to a child without parents, and teachers are the closest thing to parents that students could get within those walls. Teachers all over the world are their own individuals and have their separate ways of teaching, connecting with their students, and making their classroom a safe environment. We asked the elementary school and middle school teacher, both for PCSST, located in Paterson, New Jersey, what does it take to be a good teacher?
What does it take to be a good teacher? Personality,
It takes innovation.
some spunk. I feel like you also have to be someone who is willing to give and who's also willing to take.
There's never one set thing in the classroom that's going to work every day or every moment. What do I mean by that? There are sometimes I can come into my classroom and I decide that I want to use a gallery walk for an example to see what my students understand.
Being a teacher, just because you are the authoritative figure in the classroom does not mean that you can always take. You have to be willing to give your time, your effort, sometimes your resources, maybe even your finances. Giving lets them know that they deserve whatever you are giving them. And it also lets them know that they can have whatever you want to offer them. So personality, spunk, being who you are, like literally just being genuine. Genuity comes first.
Monday it may work. Monday at 9:30 a.m. it may work, but by Monday at 1:15 p.m. they could be over that. So what's the next step? And then also just to keep them engaged, keep them entertained. And once again, going back to connecting a feeling and a reason to what they do, it always takes them as far as they can.
What is the importance of building a bond with the student? If I could tell a quick story, building a bond with students is everything. I've had students who have had rougher years and they've come to me and had the smoothest year, the smoothest transition of their life. Building bonds with students is literally like making your ice cream cone. Imagine having just a plain cone and there's nothing on it. The ice cream is gonna be nasty, obviously. I build my ice cream cone the same way I build my bonds with students. I want the works. I want my favorite ice cream, but I also want all my favorite toppings at the same time. It's the same exact way building a bond or a relationship with students. Students are only comfortable with those who they respect, but also with those who they know respect them. So it takes respect to get respect, even when it comes to any student of any age.
The importance of building a bond with your students is the most important piece, in my opinion, as an educator. That's the first thing that I work towards. When they come inside my classroom, I don't ask them an algebraic equation. I don't ask them to show me their level of comprehension. I simply ask them about themselves. What is their favorite this? What is their favorite that? Do they have siblings? Do they have this? Do they have that? Why? Because in a moment of either a height or at the moment of a low, I can always go back to that to let them know that there is a personal connection. And also I like to connect it to their learning. If I can connect the personal feeling to their learning, which is my personal motto, I can stretch it and take them as far as they allow me to.
I, as a teacher, make my classroom a safe space for students by first making sure that it is a neutral environment. And what I mean by neutral is, I mean that it is a common ground. Nothing goes in or comes out of my classroom that I don't allow, so I am in control of that environment.
I begin by making it clear that I'm all about inclusivity and independence, individuality. What does that mean? I am a certain way as an individual, as a person, and each student is a certain way as an individual and as a person. So I let them know that it's fine to operate as themselves.
Me being in control of the environment makes it a safe space because students know that the environment is respectable and it is also an approachable one that they do not have to be afraid to enter, just on a consistent basis every day.
And the next thing that I do is I tell them we operate as traffic. We're individuals, but we have to be individuals that work together. And so I make sure as long as we work together, then we'll have a great time.
Knowing that it will be my face that they see every day for 1 year straight, I think I do the work. Sometimes I might do too much. I greet them at the door.
To come in and be consistent.
Every morning, I make sure that they're okay, aside from making sure that they fed, because the breakfast is what they get every morning.
If I'm not consistent, they won't be. And I give them a reason to want to show up. One thing about education a lot of people sometimes fail to realize is in order for students to tap in, they have to see a reason to do so. And so I give them a reason, right? Not only am I their educator, but I'm also one of the most consistent figures they'll ever see in their lives. So sometimes I'm that big brother, sometimes I'm that dad, sometimes I'm just that person without even it being a specific title. And I just make sure that I take that seriously. I don't abuse my authority. If anything, I come in to make them smile. You know, I bring everything to my classroom, on top of feeding them, on top of making sure they have clean clothing, if they need glasses, buy them just the small things, understanding that their favorite color is blue, understanding that their sister got a green in school yesterday, just little small things. I remain consistent in that no matter what. And it's not just the learning piece, it's the social piece. So for me, I start with the social and then I incorporate it in the learning to make sure that there's structure and there's balance, but it's also something to look forward to.
I also make sure that emotionally they're okay. I ask them certain questions. I gauge where they are in a moment. So I make sure that I'm always present, because if I'm not present for them, how can I expect them to be present for me?
The students who feel like they don't have someone to talk to at home, the first thing that I would do is I would tell them to get to know the adults in their building.
The advice that I would give them is there is always someone. Even if you think someone's not paying attention to you, somebody's not watching you, somebody's not listening, there's always someone around. And even if you feel like you don't feel comfortable in one certain area, there's always somebody who you're gonna be comfortable with. So
what do I mean by that? It's hard to just be able to walk into a classroom and have a conversation with a teacher when you should be learning, right? So just say hello in passing. Right? And pay attention to those who say hello to you first, who greet you, who are genuine and asking you, how are you doing, right? Build that level of comfort.
Go where your comfort lies, go where your heart is, go with who makes you feel most safe. Like, go to your safe space even when it comes to any teacher in the building.
And then sometimes too, even if you're not sure, say that one thing that you may not have said before, just to see how they receive it, and then go from there.
Now that you've got the perspective from an elementary and middle school teacher of what it takes to be a good teacher, we've asked some high school teachers located in PCTI, or Passaic County Technical Institute in Wayne, New Jersey.
To be a good teacher, it's much more complicated nowadays because of the reliance on technology. So I have to make sure I emphasize that component. But honestly, it's about having command of your subject matter, of course.
I think about that every day. Like, what am I going to do today to be a good teacher? I try to be engaging. I try to be positive. I try to not let what's going on maybe in my own personal life come into the classroom with me, so that I can be professional every day.
Being accessible, right? So using language with your students, using conversational language that engages them rather than overwhelms or intimidates.
Because it's all about the kids when you're in the classroom with them. So you need to show that you care about them, you need to show some empathy towards them and what they may be going through, and you need to try to keep your lessons as fun and engaging as possible, even some of the boring stuff.
I think it's really important just to keep things simple, at least initially in a course, and to prioritize and to be able to communicate that effectively. So students know exactly what's expected of them in the classroom, rather than it becoming some form of a guessing game.
You can get students engaged and involved in the material and discussing the material and thinking for themselves, and just, again, showing them that you care is the most important thing about being a teacher. The second that I don't care anymore is when I will leave this profession, and I've been doing it for 17 years, so I hope I can do it for 17 more, because I always care about the kids and I want them to know that caring about them is the most paramount thing.
The importance of building a bond with students is vital, it's essential.
Bond with your students is everything. Like, going back to the first question, if I can't get them to trust me and my leadership and my direction, then I don't have that bond with them and we never click and it never works.
To the process, I think that, just reflecting back on my experience as a student, the teachers that I worked hardest for, regardless of the subject, were teachers that I made a connection with.
Right? So you have to develop a bond with your students, find out what they're interested in, talk to them about it, follow up with them about it.
That can be by a range of things. That can be due to common interests, a passion for the content that we are teaching and learning together.
Even now, doing this interview with one of my students, right, learning that this is his passion has made me bond more with my students. So finding out what they're interested in and following up with that and having that dialogue and letting them get to know a little bit about you too outside of the classroom and things that you like. Again, it just all leads to a positive environment. That bond is everything.
Yeah, I think that It's really important to just show your true self to your students and avoid any pretense, to be genuine, to be sincere, like I said.
And that will take students that maybe don't necessarily love your class because maybe they don't like math or science or they don't like to read novels, but it makes them more engaged when they're there because they have that connection with you. So that's important.
In order to create a safe place, I think it's, vital that I just be myself, that I'm sincere and I'm genuine with the students. Right from the beginning, I show them, my positive side.
Making them trust me and being honest with them, especially in high school. Students are on the precipice of being adults and they've already had so much happen in their lives that teachers that try to sugarcoat things or to try to think that they're protecting them by not being honest about certain things are doing them a disservice.
That I'm approachable and that, it's an open door policy at all times in terms of just communication.
I think being honest with your students and being open with them and creating that dialogue naturally lends itself to trust, and it gets students to feel comfortable in your class, to come to you with anything from I need help with this assignment to I'm really struggling right now and I need some help outside of school. And it just opens itself to a natural dialogue, and you feel safe when you can kind of put your guard down and trust each other. So
in order to inspire on a daily basis over a 10-month school year, it's really important that I, as a teacher, know something about the students, something that is positive, of course.
So students change every year. So every year I try to remember, okay, yes, I am going to be the face that they see at this time every school day, right, for the next 180 days. I try to be positive. I try to put that best foot forward every day.
And that I tap into that whenever we hit a little bump in the road or there's any type of difficulty that a student may encounter.
And you want to try to reach all the students as best as you can, but also ultimately maybe you're not going to reach everyone, but that you can have a positive impact simply just by smiling, simply just by saying, hey, how you doing today? Are you okay today?
I think it's important to just know that we can shift gears, we can talk on personal interests, we can talk on passions, and maybe help to redirect or, to motivate from the teacher's perspective.
I may not inspire everybody to want to go out and read and be, a writer or appreciate literature, but if I inspired them to keep going and to follow their dreams and to know that there's more out there than high school, then I've succeeded. I just want them to know that this is such a small stepping stone in your life and to just know that you can do it, whatever it is.
I think it's imperative for teachers, in order to make students feel comfortable, to have some personal connection. So whether it be a common interest,
having a good attitude every day,
a passion that a student may have.
I think being excited about the material that you teach makes the students excited about learning it.
We're very lucky here at PCTI because I can always tap into their shop experience and or extracurricular activities like sports. So I definitely make a point to get to know a student as early as possible at the beginning of the year, mainly during our ice-breaking activities the first few days of school.
All the time my students will be like, what's your favorite thing that you teach us this year? What's the best thing that we read? And I'm like, it's this book, no it's this book, no it's this play, because I love everything that I'm exposing my students to.
I always ask, what's your shop? Any clubs that you're a member of or would like to join? Any sports? And then I make a mental note, and I always tap into those areas if there's ever any issue in class, whether it be behavioral or academic. And I just making that personal connection.
So if you come in with that energy, I think students feed off of that. So having a positive approach to the material that you teach makes a difference.
A genuine personal connection, not just something generic. I think it needs to be specific to that individual or that student.
Now that you've seen and heard from these teachers from elementary to high school, you can now come to the conclusion that these teachers are here for the benefit of the students. They are here to better the knowledge of the students, and they are here to better the students overall as a person. To be a teacher, it takes a lot of responsibility and dedication. and students must be the main priority to a teacher. Teachers must make the classroom a safe haven for these students.